Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa Kitzie and I'm an assistant professor at the School of Information Science here at the University of South Carolina. Today I'll be talking with you a little bit about information literacy and how it can be used to combat mis- and disinformation. Is climate change as serious as some people make it out to be? Can elections be rigged? Did Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend get swollen testicles from the COVID-19 vaccine? In our current socio-political climate, we're bombarded with questions about what's real and what's not. And the importance of developing skill sets in order to answer these questions has never been more current or relevant. This is where information literacy comes into play. Information literacy is traditionally defined as the skill set and abilities that you have when seeking, finding, assessing, and evaluating information. But as anyone who's had a difficult argument with a relative who does their own research knows, you can't fight mis- and disinformation through these activities and skills alone. We need to think about information literacy more broadly. Specifically, we have to understand why people believe false information and how digital technologies like social networking sites contribute to its spread. Let's start with the people side. So why do people believe in false information in the first place? The first reason is repetition. We believe an idea that we hear over and over again. Do you know that vitamin C doesn't actually prevent the common cold? I'm not joking. You can go ahead and look that one up. But I bet that before I said it, you believed it. And that's because I think as we're growing up, we're told over and over again things like an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And the interesting thing is that even though I've just corrected that false belief that you have, you're still likely going to reach for that bottle of orange juice or that apple the next time you get the sniffles because you've heard this fact so many times. So if you repeat something enough, people are going to start to believe that it's true. Loyalty is another reason to believe in false information. Ever been to a football game and gotten into it with the refs? Even if you know rationally that they're making the right call, then you know what I'm talking about. We all rationally know that sometimes when we're watching a game, the ref might make an accurate call that doesn't benefit our team. But that doesn't stop us from booing and disagreeing with the ref, right? And again, the research actually bears out this observation. In fact, it shows that the more knowledgeable and educated you are, so in this case about football, the more likely it is that you're going to believe in fake information. So again, the more that you know about football, so on a rational level, you understand whether a call is accurate or not, the more you're going to believe that the call isn't accurate, even if it is, because of your loyalty to your team. Feelings of alienation and anxiety also contribute to people believing in false information. Do you know that a recent study actually showed that about a third of Americans believe in a conspiracy theory? It's not just people with tinfoil hats anymore. It could be you. People who have experienced anxiety, not feeling like they belong, and a sense of losing control tend to seek out stories or things to explain why it is that they're feeling the way that they're feeling. And this might sound really relatable, especially given our current situation of economic insecurity, political polarization, and declining trust in institutions. And the stories that people seek out to validate these very real feelings give them a sense of control and even cultivate a shared sense of community. So to summarize, on the people side of things, there are some pretty compelling cognitive, social, and cultural reasons for people to believe in false information. It's not really accurate or even effective to label these people as dumb or ignorant, even if they're really, really frustrating. Instead, if we truly want to combat the spread of false information, we need to meet people who are spreading it where they are. This means, for example, that if you see someone post false information on social media, a more effective strategy than publicly calling them out would be to DM them instead. I'm all for throwing public shade, but not in the name of information literacy. And when you're composing that DM, consider writing it in such a way that repeats the point that you're trying to make, because remember, repetition here is going to be key, and also provides a powerful story to support that point. So for instance, rather than saying, September 11th wasn't a hoax, instead it would be much more effective to share with that person multiple stories of people's experiences on the day of the attacks. You also really want to consider the emotions that people have that are driving why they're sharing false information. What deep-seated fears might a believer in false information have? For instance, if someone is skeptical about vaccine safety, it could be because they have a deep-seated fear about medical institutions. And that's not something that you personally are going to be able to easily fix. But you can open up a conversation with someone by not showing them why they're wrong, but asking them instead what elements of the information that they're sharing ring true for them. And this sort of acknowledgement of people's feelings actually matters and can change someone's mind. And so now I think it's important to understand the technical side of things. So how does digital media, such as social networking sites, amplify these people-centered reasons for people believing in false information in the first place? So let's go back to repetition, which is a key reason why people believe in false information. Digital media, like social networking sites, can contribute to the repetition of false information through automated accounts like bots, which, for instance, on Twitter, can just be tweeting out again and again the same false information, so that if you're someone who wants to believe in that, you can say, hey, look, there are these multiple sources that are all saying the same thing that I want to believe in, and I'm doing my homework, I'm doing my research, because I'm evaluating all of these sources and saying that there are hundreds of them, so this information must be true. And if you're on a site like Twitter, it's likely that you've actually encountered a bot. Perhaps one is following you, perhaps you retweeted one, and you didn't know it. In fact, one study actually shows that about 15% of active Twitter users are actually bots, and that bots significantly contributed to the spread of mis- and disinformation during the 2016 presidential election. Social networking sites also promote this sense of community and belonging for people who believe the same false information. Chat rooms, group texts, likes, and retweets are all mechanisms that are used by online communities to reaffirm that people are not alone in their false beliefs. Features like following and unfriending really allow us to further insulate our worldviews into increasingly segregated echo chambers where we're continually hearing the things that we want to hear from people that we trust. And what's even more troubling about all of this is that when information is socially shared that's fake, it also tends to be more negative. It doesn't tend to be more positive. And this matters because when you're sharing negative information, that is going to cause someone who's consuming it to feel feelings like anxiety, loneliness, and isolation, which is a key reason why people believe in false information in the first place, because they're looking for narratives or stories to explain why they're feeling anxious, lonely, or isolated. So we're not going to combat mis- and disinformation by technical solutions alone. Sites like Facebook and Instagram have already tried this. So you might have gone onto your newsfeed and seen that people's posts have been flagged as being fact-checked related to the information that they're posting. The problem with this is that as people, we're really smart and creative, and so if we want to share information that Facebook is flagging, we can create workarounds. For instance, we can open up the Notes app in our phone, we can write down what it is that we want to say, save it as an image, and boom, we've evaded the Facebook algorithm that's supposed to flag that information as false. To combat mis and disinformation, we need to take a broader approach that views it as a problem produced by the intersection between people and technology. And so what this means for technology companies is that it's imperative that they hire people who have this dual skill set of not just understanding the technical side of things, but also the people side of things, and how those two sides work together to produce problems like mis and disinformation. And this skill set is something that we teach at the School of Information Science. We have an information science major and an informatics minor. So within our school, we're not going to teach you, for example, how to create an app like Twitter. Instead, what we're going to teach you how to do is to identify some of the root causes of why mis and disinformation are disseminated or shared on Twitter, and then identify potential solutions that Twitter could then incorporate in order to address those problems that are both social and technical in nature. So if you're looking for a major or a minor, please consider joining us at the School of Information Science.